IVM.
Hi,
You're
listening to IVM.
daily. Hello, everybody. Welcome to IVM Daily. Hi, everyone in the studio. Hi, lovely faces here. Abbas,
Hello.
Ashish,
Hi.
and Alika.
Oh, hi.
Hi, and
All A people are on the podcast.
oh, I'm the
Yeah,
exception
you're the
here.
only odd one out.
Yeah.
Oh,
We're
hence
the A
I'm
team.
host.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Nice one. So, yeah, listeners, we at IVM, all of us are either sick or we are on leave. So, like Alika suggested, we are gonna crib about the government. And
That's the only thing we people can think about right now.
yeah, I mean, we've been cribbing about a lot of things like AC is not working or it's too cold.
No, I'm glad it isn't because I have a cold.
I
I'd
turned the
rather it
flap a
not
little
work.
Upwards.
What?
I turned the flap a little
Oh, you
upwards.
did? Thanks, man.
Nice thinking. So, yeah, today we are going to be discussing things that are legal in India, but they should be made illegal.
Or also things which are technically illegal but nobody seems to realize it.
Yeah, which
Make
is
them more stricter.
Yeah,
punishment.
it would be nice if some laws were implemented. Wink nudge to the government.
Let's start with you, Alika.
Oh
I
my
believe
God.
you have a list.
I have a small list, mostly because I haven't been able to articulate all my ideas down. Gosh, let's start with the basics. Littering. Hello, people.
Yes.
What is your deal with this? I would really like it if people started, figuring out that littering is technically illegal and they should not be doing it. Or else if the government finds a better way to do something about it, because I know they have fines and things like that, but I don't know if they're ever implemented
Yeah.
or if
I have paid a fine for
Littering?
stubbing out a cigarette on the road. Yeah.
what
Yeah, in
I
Lower
feel
Parel.
like do they actually target people for this?
They do,
Yeah,
yeah.
they do. Yesterday, Suresh got caught
What?
for
Yeah.
spitting. Yeah, he told me. Yesterday
Amazing.
night.
So something's happening. It's
For stubbing the cigarette?
No, for spitting on the road.
Oh, okay.
So what the police do is obviously because it's now corrupt, they hide behind bushes and they see if it's a person who looks kind of well off.
Yeah.
And if
I
they
was
are-
going to be
and if
like,
they are-
do
yeah.
they look like are they targeting people who look like they can pay the fine?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
But
do they genuinely hide behind bushes?
Yeah,
This
yeah.
sounds very cartoon.
They were
No,
like
they do.
formal. They
It's
were
like those cops who
formal
are
clothes.
around at the signal, and when you
Yeah,
take a
yeah.
left turn and you break the signal and they suddenly catch you.
Yes.
And you're like, shit, I didn't see you there.
This is very Looney Tunes. I like it. I approve.
Which should be another illegal thing in itself to
Yes.
not target people according to their financial status.
Here's the thing. They're doing it literally because then they are pocketing the money, obviously.
Yeah,
Because otherwise, why would they care, right?
of course. Yeah.
So just dress like a poor person, man.
Wow. That is the solution to all our problems. No, but the point is then they are obviously just doing it for themselves, not for actually upholding the law. Because
Yeah.
they probably let others get away with it.
Yeah.
Because it doesn't make any difference. They're not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
So it's not really helping anybody. I mean, it's like a token effort.
Yeah.
It's like being very lawful and all just because you can make somebody else's life miserable.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
you can.
But
No,
I
but
feel
at least-
something like littering is so like basic.
Yeah.
It's basic civic sense. This is not something that should be illegal and you should be fined. I mean, obviously
Yeah.
it is a law, but it's basic hygiene. Just don't throw things around. And how difficult is it to just keep a wrapper in your bag and
Exactly.
throw it when you reach a dustbin?
Exactly.
There are
And-
dustbins everywhere. I mean, nowadays. I mean, on railway
Yeah,
stations.
I feel that they
everywhere.
can still do a little bit of a better job with having more regular dustbins on the roads and things. But still, it's not a terrible job. And I have to say, like, even people whom I don't expect, and this is my bias because I look at people and kind of judge them and, they look educated or whatever.
Yeah.
Even like super educated people riding in their fancy cars
Cars,
just
they do
roll
that,
down
yeah.
the window and throw things out. And
Yeah.
I'm like, what? is happening.
And you know, these are the same people who will go out of the country and not litter anything there, but they'll just do the same thing here. I don't get that logic at all. It's
Like,
beyond me.
They don't care over here, and over there they will get fined.
I mean, they are educated people, and they've been taught this at school, that not to litter. And the people who are picking up the garbage, they have not been taught this in school because they have never been in schools. It's just to see that it's a little weird.
Yeah, it's very
someone who's not been taught anything.
Irritating.
Yeah.
I did notice there are some like people who are actively teaching. In the middle, when I was traveling up and down by trains for college, I took somebody's initiative. One other student in my college, they started this. I took the initiative, and I used to keep a plastic bag in my bag, and anytime I used to.
Plastic is illegal, right?
Yeah.
This was several years ago. Years number redacted, but the point was that I would sit on the window seat of any bus or train like forever. I would just not move, so I was kind of blocking the window so that nobody could throw things, and if anybody tried to push past me, I'd like, just give it to me, and I'd put it in my plastic bag, and then like, you know, give them this superior moral look, like, you know, I'm better than you because clearly I don't litter.
A round of applause for
No, don't do
person
it.
Alika.
Don't do the superior moral look because it makes you look like an ass. But do try to educate people. I don't know.
But it's gotten a little stricter. And I don't know if you know this, but in National Park, Borivali National Park, when you go, they will count all of your plastic bags, and then they will make a note of it.
That's good.
So when you leave out, they will match. They will match with the plastic bags that you have.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, I mean, that was the innovation.
That's good.
So I mean,
Maybe they can
at
just
least
they can take photos of what you've got and then compare it to what you've brought back. Like even wrappers
Taking
of
it
sweets
a step
and things.
further, yeah.
So they're pretty strict about that.
It's good because your national parks are one of the very few green spaces left in the city.
Actually.
Right.
Yeah.
What about you, Ashish? What's that one thing that you feel should be made illegal?
Yeah, I think honking horns should be made illegal. Yeah. So even when you're on a signal and the light is red, people are just honking because they know there's only 10 seconds left. So they'll start honking, you know, nikal. I'm like, they're still red. I mean, you could meet with an accident just in a matter of a second. Yeah, just wait.
That's true. I feel people are very impatient.
Yeah.
And they change lanes like anything, and it's so scary even to see sometimes, just when the cars they change lanes without any signaling. And they keep honking horns, and music is loud, and they don't care about the traffic laws and anything.
It's strange though, because I know like abroad, it's not illegal, but honking horns is seen as like a violent offense.
Exactly.
Like
It's very rude.
Yeah.
It's considered very rude.
Yeah,
like everybody
very
will
rude,
look
it's
at you
like-
if you honk the horn. It's like, oh my god, he honked the horn. Like,
it's like
that.
you have committed some
Something-
mortal offense
Yeah.
against me, and I must challenge you to a duel. Sort of. That's the sort of level honking is at. So, and over here it's just every day to day. When we're recording, we can hear the honking of cars going by.
It's the only no honk zones are like what, schools and hospitals.
I don't even think
think
people care about that.
I don't know. I nowadays nobody cares about
Is
it.
there a fine for like honking your?
Only
Yeah,
in the
there is.
no honk zone, I think. Not on
But there
streets.
is fines for excessive honking, but then what counts as excessive honking is up in the air.
Yeah.
So people, I've spoken to someone who honks a lot.
Oh.
So I told him, okay, why the hell do you do this, man? It's so annoying. So he said that he just does it to protect himself. So even if he's overtaking someone and if he crashes by mistake, so at least he can say in the argument that I honked the horn and you did not listen. That was the only reason. I was like, that is really stupid to begin with. I mean, this is
Yeah,
really
like
wrong.
firstly, you should not be in a situation where you're overtaking someone. Just
from the wrong lane you're overtaking, and then you're saying that I honked the horn. That is one offense. Secondly, one more thing that really pisses me off is the pandals that they have on roads, especially during festival times. God, that annoys me so much. It just bottlenecks the entire traffic. Nobody can move anywhere, and they behave like the road is owned by them, and they will dance, and it's so irritating. And you can't say anything because it's a religious matter. The moment you say anything religious, You just
Yeah, and the worst
you
part
just
is even
inviting
cops
trouble.
are involved in this.
Exactly,
Like they
yeah.
regulate the traffic, and like I remember this one time, the last Eid celebration that was there. I was going home, and the entire SV road was blocked. It took me
Yeah.
almost 1.5 hours to get home, and like by rickshaw it usually costs me like $140. It took me 250 rupees to reach home, and there was so much traffic, and people were yelling on the roads and throwing things around, and I don't know. I was
It's really annoying.
Yeah.
And the thing is that
I don't mind the
people should
celebration.
understand. Yeah, I don't mind,
Yeah.
but you should understand that already the metro work has been going on the link roads, and link roads are, as it is, so small.
Yeah.
On top of that, you're having a pandal, and there's construction going on.
I think slow
Oh, God.
construction should be illegal. Just finish it quickly, man. What is this? It's taking years to build a metro.
Yeah, man.
But
It
you
took
know
like a
what?
really long time.
I'll go back on to that point and I'll come up with another thing. I think not a question of illegal, but I would really like it if they did some quality assurance on the things they build. Well, I don't know if you guys, you may have read this in the paper. There was a flyover which collapsed not too long ago.
But there is
There
quality
is a law,
assurance.
yeah,
It's
there
just that there is a lot of corruption, so
Corrupt,
they
huh.
pass off the inferior material as
Correct.
matching those.
Exactly.
Matching
So
the
I feel like
benchmark.
that should be illegal. It's probably illegal. It
Should
is
be
illegal.
upheld.
Yeah, it would be really nice if people would kind of, follow through with that.
Yeah.
Because it's dangerous. And I'm not saying, quality assurance for like small things, but for like big things like your infrastructure, your roads, your flyovers, your bridges,
Especially
your
government bodies.
gas lines, your water pipelines. That would be really good if you guys made sure that, hey, you built it once, it's gonna last you. You don't have to keep digging up the road every 5
Monsoon,
months.
yeah.
That would be super nice.
Yeah, but that's all corruption based,
I know.
So
Can we
nothing
make
be done.
corruption illegal?
I hope one day.
Actually, yeah, that would be interesting.
One day.
Oh man,
Yeah.
that's a thing that's I don't even know if now it's practically legal in India at this
Yeah,
point.
more or less.
What about you, Abbas?
I thought of two things. One was I think it should be illegal to, like on train stations or airports, only a certain amount of people should be allowed to be on a platform or
In a compartment.
I mean, if the limited amount of people are allowed on the platform, then the same people board the train, right? So yeah, I mean, maybe I don't know how to implement it. Do it in shifts or whatever. But a couple of months ago, we had that horrendous stampede at Mahalakshmi station, right?
Yeah.
That's because our stations are overcrowded, and it's also why people cross.
Tracks.
Train tracks,
do
yeah.
not take the footover bridge, but they cross the tracks because they're like, who's gonna, the rush will slow us down. So somehow, yeah, make overcrowding of public spaces should be controlled in a way by making it illegal for, I don't know, like only 600 to 700 people at a time or whatever.
But I feel like that would really make things hard for anyone who misses that.
Sure, then
cutoff.
obviously you'll have to change the schedules of your trains and planes and all the other things as well.
Yeah.
Trains running late should be illegal. I mean, I don't know who'll pay for that, but yeah.
Government, who else?
Yeah, which is why it'll never be illegal for whatever things the government has to pay. And the second thing I thought of was that it should be illegal to run for office if you're over 60 years old.
Okay, I see where you're going with that.
Yeah, so that you have a youthful, fairly youthful people who run for elections and get elected, and it's not the same person or the same, in India, you never retire in politics, you die. So you will have people in the 70s and 80s still fighting elections and still getting elected and still implementing stuff that was like
Age-old stuff.
Yeah, age-old stuff.
Yeah, basically, I kind of agree with the thing that, if you're going to be too old to live through the things that you are going to implement which will affect people in the future, then there's a problem there.
Right. You can be part of whatever, like the committee which
Correct.
recommends things and not approves things, but is
Like a
gives
consultation
advice.
committee.
Yeah.
But the actual office should be held by a person
Who has
less
to
than
go
60.
through everything else the common man will end up going through.
Yeah. So yeah, those are my two things.
I kind of agree with that. There are some I feel like there is some validity to having experience. Yeah.
Sure. But I don't know. I just feel like in India, it just becomes a power play then.
Okay, they're like overstaying their welcome.
Yeah. And then the old guard is holier than thou just because they're old, and I'm not really in favor of that.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting.
Cool. So
What about you, Jaanam?
Yeah.
Let's get to you.
I mean, you guys have pretty much covered what I was also gonna add, but I started driving this year in January, and like Ashish mentioned, the honking, yeah, that's definitely an annoying thing. Also, I would say people crossing the roads whenever they feel like, wherever they feel like, and I have seen people crossing the roads without even looking in your direction.
Yeah.
Either they're on their phones or they're looking in the opposite direction, like not from where the cars are coming. They're looking on the other side, and
because they know you're not the one who's going to. They're not the one who's going to get into trouble. It's the person in the car or the auto.
So again, this actually is an offense because again, I have paid a fine.
How are you the one who keeps paying these fines?
This was when I was in 9th standard, okay, and I crossed the road, and right on the other side there was
why
a
did Abbas
cop.
cross the road, guys?
And here's the full story. So the cop catches me and he's like, "Aapne bhi road cross kiya na?" I said, "Yeah." So there's something like it wasn't a zebra crossing, and apparently you can't cross unless it's a zebra crossing or whatever.
Yeah.
And he's like, "Kya abhi aapko fine dena padega." I was in 9th standard. I had like 150 or 200 rupees pocket money, so I was shit scared. I was like, "Oh my god, what will I do?" And then he like line mein khade ho jana. There was a big line of people who were standing who had crossed the same road.
Okay.
Oh God.
And I was like, oh shit, I didn't even have, the fine was some 250 or something. And like, oh shit, I don't have 250, I don't have 250. What
So
do
were
I?
you like in your school uniform or stuff?
No, I think maybe I was in 11th standard because I was in my civilian clothes.
Okay.
So
Civilian clothes.
I had some
Abbas is a secret.
127 bucks in my wallet, and I was like, what am I going to do? And sure enough, like 10 minutes later, the same cop comes to me and he's like, fine bharna hai ke upar se 100 rupees de ke main ye kar दूं.
Oh my God.
Okay, cool, I'll pay 100 bucks. So I bribed my way out of the crossing thing.
You learned early.
Coming up on another episode of IVM Daily, things that Abbas has paid fines for.
Or bribed out of.
Oh my god.
All the criminal activities of Abbas.
Yeah.
We'll do that one day.
But what was more criminal, me crossing the road or me paying the bribe?
Technically, I would say paying the bribe. I don't
But
feel the crossing is that bad.
This is a cop tempting a 15, 16-year-old
A minor, yes.
boy, being like, hey, you pay me a bribe, you can go scot-free.
That is more criminal.
I would
I
not
would
have
say it's-
understood that.
yeah.
I'm just saying.
He was very clear. He
Oh.
was
So
like,
if you
"Hey."
don't pay the fine, then what?
Then I told him I don't have money.
exactly.
So have you seen this film Court?
Yeah, I have.
So
Marathi
there is
film,
one
yeah.
scene. So what happens is they take this entire crowd to the court.
I have also been
They
in a
stand in
Nadi
the
court.
witness box and they all put up their hand and say in front of the judge, we will not do this again.
अरे teacher के
like a
सामने.
teacher.
Exactly like that. And then they have to pay 100 rupee fine anyway. So
Okay.
the
But
obviously
that
the
goes
cop
in the
was
books
scaring
or
me.
something.
Huh?
So that goes in the books.
That goes
like,
in the books. Your name goes into
In the
the
books,
you
yeah.
have a quote unquote
Record.
criminal record.
exactly.
And if you don't have the money, then they call your parents or whatever.
Oh, okay.
Which I'm sure never happens because the police department doesn't have a time to call each and every minor's parent.
Yeah, I'm sure.
That's wow.
They have
Anyways.
other things to slack
Yeah.
about.
Yeah.
I
But
feel crossing the road would be a bigger. It would be a less of a deal if there were more zebra crossings and people actually waited at red lights.
also,
But
if
most
the
people
zebra
don't.
crossings were not
were
vanished,
paint-
if they were
painted
actually
over.
painted.
Yeah. Because I was in New York and they have like a lot of zebra crossings
Right.
all over. People still don't do it. They still cross wherever.
Right.
But it is a little bit better there. And like and the red lights go off quite regularly. So it's like you have to wait maybe a minute. That's it. So it
It's the
really
same here
cuts down.
also. It's not more than a minute I've seen some. Anyway.
Yeah, but no cars wait, right?
Yeah.
That's the whole point. The cars don't follow
Neither
the
do the
rules.
people.
Signals. That is
Yeah.
illegal.
Yeah. But they don't wait. They just go. They go early, or they keep going even though the signal has been has
scary,
changed.
No, in India they do the Magneto thing, right? They just stop the cars with their hand and then they cross.
Yes, we are all Magneto. Yeah, so
I think overall just traffic, even overtaking is such an annoying little thing they do.
I would like it if people actually earned their driver's licenses. That would be nice.
Like a stricter test to the driving.
I agree. You know, I got my driver's license when I was 18 and I just got it like that. But luckily I was sensible enough to not take the road. I would not take the car on the road because I knew I didn't know how to drive. But then like I said earlier this year, I made sure I practiced. I got an instructor to teach me properly and now I'm...
Yeah. They did the same thing with me. This was also, I don't know when this was, ages ago. But they gave me a couple of basic tests. Like I had an instructor from the driving school. I think they taught us for maybe 10 days. They gave us, they told us the basic commands and then we were like, okay, we have to go for a driving test. We were kind of scared. It turned out it was raining and they couldn't be bothered, so they just gave everybody their license.
Yeah.
Wow. Just like, le lo. Hum log ko,
They didn't even let me get into the car.
Shit.
Oh, so they didn't even pretend to see you behind the steering wheel. They were just like...
gave the license. It was so bad. I don't drive, guys. It's fine. You do not need to be scared of me.
I think this driving test should be made more stricter, I think.
Yeah.
It would be
Because
for
a lot
sure.
of the accidents and, it would be so much could be prevented.
Yeah, and people would at least have a good understanding of, the laws and even of all these different signals which they are planted on the sides of the roads. They would have some idea of all these signs.
Half the people don't know what they mean.
Yeah, and I feel like they would be, maybe they'd at least get the incentive to follow it if they knew what they meant and why they were there.
Yeah. Cool. So before we wrap up this episode, I just want to add a last thing, which is this is not really a law as such, but who made up this thing that you cannot bring your own food to the cinema? But
that has been revoked, right? Now you can.
No, but
you can.
The theaters
You
still
can,
don't.
but theaters still don't. So that's the responsibility of the theater owner. I have a friend who got a subway takeaway from the mall, went to the theater and bought a ticket and was going inside, and the security check was like, you can't take this inside, the Subway sandwich. And she's like, but a law has been passed that you can. And he was like, no. So she fought for it, and she actually went and got the refund for her ticket, saying that you can't not let me take it in. So
she didn't go for the movie.
She didn't go for the movie.
Whoa.
She's like, if I go in, I'm taking this inside with me, or or refund me my money back. So they had to give the money back. But I think the loophole there is that all these PVRs and Inoxes, they come under the private chain thing. So when it comes to private companies, they can kind of apply
Implement
their own.
But aren't most of these private? Like which are the ones?
They are, but like the older ones. Like I remember there's a theater in South Bombay called Regal. Okay, and in Regal I've taken food many times since this thing passed. They never stop you from taking it.
I kind of understand why they do it. I'm assuming it's because they don't want to clean up the mess.
They want their popcorn to sell.
Yeah.
PVR, which is selling their popcorn
I
for
mean,
$400, which is more expensive than the
like
ticket.
full meals inside the theater.
I mean, the ticket price doesn't make them the money back. The popcorn.
Sure. I understand that. For sure, that is a reason. But I feel like also if people take any and all sort of food there, it can just become a massive mess.
Yeah.
Like you can take your thali inside.
That is the big
But
problem.
maybe check what they're taking and don't let them take any like gravy things. But
But who's going to sit and open your dabba and check, yaar? कि क्या लाए हो?
But I don't know, this is such an
gravy
Indian
versus
thing.
other gravy. Like, how come his pav bhaji is taken inside but my raita isn't? What is this?
pav bhaji is thicker, man. It doesn't spill.
It does spill. But yeah, and it's a mess basically. And it's a headache for them to clean up, and they have a very short cleanup time between shows. So I kind of get it.
Yeah, I kind of do, but I still want to take my own food, guys. Listen, cinema halls, just like let us get our food. You guys are too expensive, and also I like to eat whatever I want.
What do you
Don't
eat in
eat some-
cinema halls, Janam?
I usually take cookies in my bag.
Okay, understand.
So like biscuits, cookies, something which is not usually available
Oh,
in the...
okay, understandable.
Yeah.
I was getting a little worried there.
No, don't worry, it's not a thali. Yeah, so that's the end of our episode. Let
And
us
cribbing.
know. Yeah. If you resonated with any of these, do write into us. And if you have any more to add to this list, also write into us. We are at IVM Podcasts on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You can also reach out to us personally. Abbas,
You can reach out to me on Twitter at Abbas Moment.
Ashish.
No, you can't reach me. Sorry.
Okay, you cannot reach Ashish. If you want to reach Ashish, though, you can mention his name and tag IVM
yeah,
Podcasts.
sure,
We will respond on his behalf. Alika,
You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Cape Fox Alex.
and you can find me on Twitter at Jaanam Divan. See you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Look! Up in the internet! It's a meme! No! It's a cat video! No! It's the Geek Fruit Podcast!
That's right, we interrupt this riveting broadcast to tell you about our show, The Geek Fruit Podcast, where Tejas, Dinkar, and I, Jishnu, talk about everything in pop culture, including DC, Marvel, Star Wars, Netflix, and everything in between.
You know how your friends hate it when you ramble about some nerdy crap and you just want somebody to listen to you? Well, sorry, there's nothing we can do about that, but come listen to us ramble and it'll almost be like the real thing. Kind of.
Listen to new episodes of The Geek Fruit Podcast every Monday and The Geek Fruit Bulletin every Thursday on iTunes, Google Podcasts, the IVM app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Happy listening, you nerds.
How aware do you think you are of your laws and rights? Do you look up to laws when you are caught up in situations? Do you know what your rights are when you're stuck somewhere bad? Well, here's a show that can help you move an inch closer to being aware of what your rights are. Tune into Know Your Qanoon with me, Amber Rana. This is a podcast meant to answer all your law-related queries. Catch Know Your Qanoon every week on the IVM website or the app or anywhere you get your podcast from.